just survived the plane crash, basically, didn't we? Like, that's what it feels like.
So everything starts pretty good. Although we're only running on 3 hours of sleep from the party the night before, we all managed to leave the Airbnb and get to the airport on time to make our flight. Now this is flight 1 of 2 connecting in Sao Paulo, and the problems begin when we change flights. So to start with, our flight was actually delayed, but only by 1 hour, which was fine. Eventually we make it onto the flight and everyone is just super excited to pass out and get some sleep. But we end up being sat on the tarmac for over an hour, even though the doors had already closed. Eventually the flight crew make an announcement and they tell us that there's a problem with the plane and that the flight's been cancelled. And obviously at first we're all thinking this is a nightmare, how are we going to get there, where are we going to stay, all of this stuff. But then the flight crew makes a second announcement and they say there's another plane which we can all move to. So everybody scuttles off the plane and we move on to the next one, and all I'm thinking is that we just escaped a final destination type moment, and it's a good thing that that plane didn't take off because it was broken. But the shenanigans continue. Now the flight is going smooth. I've got a window seat, I've got an empty seat next to me. The pilot then makes his announcement that we're starting our descent, and at this point I'm excited. We are almost there. I am scared in this moment. Now I take a lot of flights, and this was the first time that I genuinely thought we were going to crash. Not to mention that 3 days before there was a plane crash in Brazil, so this idea of the plane just falling out of the sky was very much at the front of my mind. So I'm looking out the window, and as we're going through the clouds, there's some pretty heavy turbulence, but nothing I haven't experienced before. As we come out of the bottom of the clouds, I look out the window and I can see the ground. So we're about 100 meters off the ground at this point, like basically ready to land. Then all I'm hearing is the engines kicking back in at full force. Everyone gets thrown back in their seats, people screaming, people confused, like obviously this isn't a normal situation. Everyone is pretty shook, apart from Jai for some reason, who's right at the front of the plane and just completely focused on his Nintendo Switch.
We just survived the plane crash, basically. Like, that's what it feels like.
And then the lights go out. And right now, I am nervous because I read that when they turn the lights off in the cabin, it means they're preparing for an emergency landing. So we're circling around the airport for a while. Eventually the pilot gets the go ahead to try and land again, and everyone is on edge. People holding hands, people gripping onto the seat in front of them, like no one is easy right now.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't think any of us will ever be happy to get off the plane.
Again, apart from Jai, who has no idea what's going on somehow.
I noticed it happening, but I wasn't even 1% worried.
But after a very, very rough landing, the pilot did great and everything was fine.
That was terrifying. That was terrifying.